What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. As always, joined by your hosts, myself, Alex Fishbein, and I got Dennis Clausen with me. What's going on, Dennis?
Couple weeks to the big day there, my mans.
I know, it's crazy. It's really getting here fast. We were just Dan and I were just talking about it, and it's kind of crazy how like all the final details are due.
Gotta get my spinach.
There you go. Final details are due, final payments are due, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely feeling more and more real. That's for sure.
Now, what's going to happen if the Nets and the Sixers are playing during your wedding? We going to call it off or what?
So we've been discussing that. She was like, I really hope the Sixers aren't playing on our wedding day because if they lose, I don't want to know how you're gonna react.
And then you gave brownie points. You should have said, "I get to marry you though, so whatever happens isn't as good." You know, just some bullshit like that.
Oh, of course. I was like,
next thing you know, the after wedding activities might pick up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Of course. That's if I'm not asleep, to be honest.
No, you'll be sleeping. You know how everybody's like after the wedding, it's, you know, for one, like, even if things were traditional, we're like, and I'm not asking if anything's happened, that's your business. Yeah. But I'm just saying hypothetically, even though I assume, but like the old days, everybody was like, well, it's your first time, you know, you'll be married. And I'm like, I don't care if I was celibate. Like, if I hadn't blown anything in my entire life, after the wedding was over with, I would be so fucking tired that I want to give two shits.
Right.
If I had 12 Playboy Playmates in my room, getting ready to go little 12-on-1 action, I was so fucking tired after my wedding. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, no, there ain't going to be none of that shit happening.
I always kept hearing from people and then also reading like little articles that people said like, sex on wedding night is overrated because everyone is just dead tired. They don't want to do anything.
What do you mean sex?
You know what I mean.
I was talking about playing PS5 in the hotel room.
Oh, you're talking about playing 2K as a married couple.
No, honestly, like, there has to be a mutual agreement because I'm sure by the time you get back to the room and you go around, you say hi to Aunt Betty, who's 97 and doesn't even know who the fuck you are, and you walk around, because you gotta at some point like walk around,
right? Like
as a couple and say, "Oh, thanks for coming. Oh, you look good. Oh, Uncle Jack looking good. You know, how many beers you had tonight? Yuck it up a little bit." By the time all that shit is over with, you'll have a mutual understanding, even if the decision is made at that time. I'm fucking tired. I barely want to take a shower, and I'm going to fucking bed because I'm exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you got to wake up for brunch.
Oh, well, see, that's the thing is we're waking up for... I mean, there's like a goodbye breakfast or whatever at the hotel. But then we also, since we didn't account for the time difference... we also have to catch a flight that Sunday night to Greece. So it's going to be a whole slew of shit.
You could do your escapades over there in Antetokounmpo land.
Exactly. If only it was the off season and maybe I could go hang out with Giannis too. Let him know that we don't actually hate him on this podcast.
No, if you do run into him for some reason, which is not going to happen, but say it happened. Say the Bucks lose. Just tell him he just needs to work on his shooting a little bit.
Yeah, work on his free throws.
He's been watching. He knows anyways what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
He
and if
fucking tunes in every week.
If he takes it too personal, I'll just show him that apology video you made again, and
heartfelt.
It'll be good. Exactly. Full apology.
So we have what did we say for dinner? So I assume did you give the option of what we wanted to eat?
Yeah, there was 3 options. There was the filet mignon, the roasted salmon, and the veggie option.
Okay, I went with the filet mignon.
Yeah, it's a good choice. When I did the taste test, the filet was very good. So.
Hopefully my wife got the same thing, so when she only eats half of it, I can just eat the rest of hers.
There you go.
And that is a married couple right there.
Exactly. Completely agreed. All right. Anyway. So.
It's not like your wedding's important, so enough of that.
I know. I mean, look at me trying to talk about my wedding, and there's basketball to be talked about.
Yeah, it's more important.
By the way, we'll get to this game in a little bit, but currently playing right now, Toronto versus Chicago. According to BovadaSportsbook.com, Toronto are 7.5-point favorites at this very second.
They don't
the
make
live
shit,
updated
Bovada.
odds.
Bovada, I love you. Thank you for paying us, but that don't mean shit there, pals.
I'm just putting that out there right now.
No, I respect Bovada lines.
Yeah. But anyway, let's talk about last night. So let's start with the first playing game that happened here.
That's what she said.
That's a good one.
Next thing you know, we got a Plan B on the podcast.
Should that be BJ's nickname or?
He Plan B for sure.
So Hawks versus Heat. Atlanta came out and pretty much just wiped the floor with Miami. Miami didn't even look like they really had a shot at really anything. The only person that really came to play seemed to be Tyler Hero. Kyle Lowry played all right.
No, can I stop you there?
All right, go ahead.
Tyler Hero, I mean, he scored 26 points?
I was just about to look at that, actually. He had 26, yes. And Kyle Lowry had 33.
Right, Kyle Lowry was the shit-hot star of the show.
Yes.
So Hero went about, 2 for 9 from 3, if I remember correctly?
Yep, yeah, he 12 for 23 from the floor and 2 for 9 from 3.
All right, that's not that good.
No.
He had the Antetokounmpo syndrome there. He just shot took a lot of shots.
Yeah, if you're taking 23 shots just to get 26 points, that's not a good night.
Yeah, you ain't that good. And remember, everybody was like, here's playoff Jimmy Butler. He's a bad fucking dude. You better watch out for Jimmy. Well, again, Jimmy went 6 for 19 from the field. He ain't looking so good.
Didn't even hit a single 3 either.
And my man's Bam, who I will say Bam behind Lowry was the only saving grace for the Heat, because Bam went 5 for 12. He had 1 board shy of a double-double. He had 4 assists. Then he had, he had like
3
steals and 2 blocks. So I rode Bam's ass all last postseason, how he just blows and he sucked in the playoffs. Now, even though we're technically not in the postseason and this doesn't count, blah, 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 he still fucking did better post. And when I mean postseason, I mean completion of the regular season. So this is a contest taking place after the season. So I kind of lump them all into one.
I think it should be considered the postseason.
It's so stupid. But anyways, he was the only guy on the Heat who showed up behind Kyle Lowry. Gabe Vincent left hurt.
Yep.
Strus is just Max Strus.
Yeah.
Kevin Love got all of 3 minutes,
which is weird to me, but either way,
they're better when he doesn't start. Believe it or not.
I mean, I don't doubt that they're better when he doesn't start, but also he's had some games off the bench where at least give him 15 minutes and he can produce some sort of offense.
Well, you know what's fucking weird to me too is that Victor Oladipo got 9 minutes. Bless you.
Thank you.
You would think that a guy like what is going on with Victor Oladipo? Like they say he's healthy, right? Like, is he healthy? Because if he's 100%, he's only playing 9 minutes. I don't know what the fuck Spoelstra's thinking, but you're gonna give Caleb Martin and Strus and Gabe Vincent more minutes than Victor Oladipo, who got again 9 minutes and took one shot.
Yep.
So you're telling me you're going to shrink down your rotation that much to the point where Victor Oladipo is basically non-existent. Victor Oladipo, yes, I know he's been hurt and blah, 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 but if he's healthy, he should be out there.
Right. I mean, Oladipo's going to give you a better shot to win a game rather than Gabe Vincent or Max Strus.
Like, I get why Max Strus is out there. He's just a gritty white dude who's, Same with Martin. Martin's just out there, like, he's playing hard and blah, blah, blah. Like, I get it. But don't be treating Victor Oladipo like Duncan Robinson, for fuck's sake.
Seriously.
Give the guy some minutes. Put some respect on his name.
I don't even understand a lot of the rotations that Miami has used throughout the whole season, let alone in this play-in game. And it on a game where, I mean, there really wasn't much to do on the boards. Like, they only got out rebounded. Oh wait, no, sorry.
They got molested.
No, they got destroyed on the boards.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say molested.
But I know
destroyed.
What you mean.
Yeah, thank you.
I was looking at assists. Atlanta only had 2 more assists than Miami, and Miami actually only turned the ball over 8 times, which is usually if you only turn the ball over 8 times compared to the other team's 12 or more, whatever it may be. Usually that amounts to a good outcome.
And what's fucked up is that Atlanta's shooting was probably even worse, but the thing is, what won that whole game is offensive rebound. Shout out to like Clint Capella and Onyeka Okongwu, Mike's boy, Onyeka Okongwu. Yep. Onyeka Okongwu was shit hot last night. Sadiq Bey coming off the bench looking shit hot. Like, that team just needed Quinn Snyder. And they're going to be like a scary team. I don't buy any of this Trae Young getting traded bullshit. He ain't going nowhere. Trae Young last night in his post-conference, when he was not post-conference, but during his post-game interview, that looked like a different Trae Young to me. He looked like a guy who was composed. He looked like a guy who was leading his team. He looked like a guy who was content with what was going on in Atlanta. He looked like a different, mature Trae Young. And that is a guy that, and it might have even been a clash of personalities between him and Nate McMillan and things like that over the years. I get it. Mm-hmm. But for one, Quinn Snyder looks like he's got bodies buried underneath his house.
He really does.
He smiled. Yes, like I thought. I was like, this guy never smiled, but he did smile a little bit. I saw him smile, and I'm like, please never smile again, because you actually look scarier now that you smile than you do like when you look like you're just going to straight up kill somebody. But I think they finally, because the Hawks are too good, man, to be scraping into the playoff. They got DeJounte Murray, and you know how high I am on Murray. Trae Young is a top 10 player in the league. He could be if he just got it, knocked his bullshit off. And then the
very good big man rotation.
They got Okongwu was like established himself as like probably one of the best backup big men in the league who could arguably be starting. John Collins is John Collins. Like, okay, the ship has sailed on him. He is what he is. He's not horrible. Bogdanovich, when he plays once every 9 games, he's pretty fucking good.
True.
And then they have those little other pieces. They have the Hunters and the AJ Griffin and Jalen Johnson was playing with, so they have all of these like little pieces that complement.
And even adding Sadiq Bey, too.
Yeah, Sadiq Bey coming off the bench was a huge pickup for them because the guy's not, the ship had sailed in Detroit for him. He went to Atlanta, he got off to a little rough start, but now he's in Atlanta and he's doing really well. Or at least he played really well last night. And he proved, okay, this is what we brought him in for. Because at least we got a guy of his caliber, a starting caliber option, but we're going to utilize him anyways like a starter. Give us some spark off the bench, which is honestly what Tyler Hero should be doing. You notice the Heat were better when Tyler Hero was coming off the bench?
Yep. They definitely were. And the cohesion of the starters were better when he was coming off the bench.
Exactly. Tyler Hero's ego to want to be a starter has made the Heat worse.
Yeah. I mean, you look at guys that were just so much, like you look at Jamal Crawford, you look at Lou Williams, you look at any of those guys, they sacrificed just having the title of starter because they were that good coming off the bench and could help any team by just coming off the bench, playing 20 to 25 minutes and being sixth man of the year.
And I don't know why it's such a crime to be a sixth man.
I don't either.
To me, being a sixth man is just as important as being a starter, especially if you have a significant six-man role like Tyler Hero had last year.
Like Malcolm
Brogdon, which has actually made him better because he can't be a starter because his Achilles will fall off. Marcus Smart did a lot of being six-man for a while in his career.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of great players who are six men, not because they're not talented enough to be a starter. They're just there because they're great in that role, and it's so much more beneficial to have them in that role.
Exactly. Tyus Jones, DeAnthony Melton, like all those guys coming off as six man.
I wouldn't say DeAnthony Melton is great.
I'm not saying he's like sixth man of the year, but he's a big talent coming off. When he started, he did very well.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So like he can he can start, but but yeah, I don't understand the whole stigma behind that either. And especially when it comes down to it, if you're a player and you win a ring as a sixth man compared to never winning a ring as a starter, like which would you rather have in that situation?
Well, for one, I'd rather be a sixth man because you don't have to play as much.
True.
You don't have as much pressure when you're the sixth man. Like, you can still do average numbers or at least a little bit better, and as long as the starters are playing like garbage, they'll get all the blame for everything, and you'll take all the credit. Because you're like, hey, I'm the sixth man. I'm averaging 16 points a game. What else do you want more from me?
That's true.
You put me in a starting lineup and watch what happens, and it's that, So in ways, you're better off kind of being a sixth man. Less stress, less impact on the body.
I mean...
And you could still even get paid nearly the same amount that you would get paid if you're a starter. So you can go out and get your bread. You can go out and get the bag. Tyler Hero got the bag. He got the bag. Well, it took him forever to give him the bag, and they weren't even sold yet that they were going to move him to the starting lineup because he was bitching all last offseason how he wanted to be in the starting rotation.
True.
I'm like, motherfucker, you just won sixth man of the year. And you're bitching? And you just got a 4-year... I'm sorry, I'm just ranting right now.
No. I agree because... you got other six men like Malik Monk probably could demand some bigger money after the year he's having as six man for Sacramento. But like the moment he goes and demands more money, he's just going to go to a team that he probably can't help win a title with. And then, I feel like a lot of these guys, while it's like, yes, you have to go get your money and all that kind of stuff, some of them have to be realistic and just say, let me get as much money as I can without destroying the team's salary cap so that we can still win a championship. Now, I'm not saying any player owes loyalty to anybody, and I'm not saying any team owes loyalty to any player, but at that rate, unless your main goal is to just get as much money as you can, then it should be looking towards winning an actual championship. And if you are that confident in yourself as a player, like Tyler Hero, then you should know, or I should say, then you should be able to lead the team to bigger and better things. And at this point, Tyler Hero is not leading them to bigger and better things. He's leading them to worse things at this point. So it's like, I don't understand where his confidence is even coming from just because of one Sixth Man of the Year and one, I mean, he can score. But like, when I watch Tyler Hero's game, that's really all Tyler Hero can do is score. When I watch him, I'm never really saying like, hey, he had some great offensive IQ this game. He had some great court vision this game. He played some great defense. Too? Huh?
Does he get like a hot chick too he's hooked up with?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Shoot that ball, kids.
But
if you look at, real quick, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but if you look at the teams, if you look at the teams next season that are, in the running for having the most cap room, San Antonio, Houston, Utah, OKC, Detroit, Indiana, Orlando, Charlotte. And then after that, the Kings are next, and then the Blazers. The only teams really, like, say hypothetically, Monk was a free agent. He's got one more year left on his current deal. But say he's getting about $10 million right now. Hypothetically, if he was on the open market, Portland certainly would be interested. Minnesota certainly would be interested. The Cavs, maybe. Depends on how they feel about LeVert. Chicago just needs to blow it up right now. And Memphis, they would be certainly interested. So there's at least, in the Knicks would be, even though I would not, even still, if you want to die, you go to New York. So never go to New York. Jalen Brunson is like one of the only guys who actually did better in New York. But there's like 4 teams that would have money that can be competitive, that could sign him, and that would make a significant difference.
Oh, yeah. But the thing is, if he starts trying to look for $30 million a year or something crazy like that, then those teams are like, well, we can spend that money elsewhere. Like Tyler Hero trying to get like, let me get a max contract. Yeah, no, it's not gonna work out that way unless you want to start losing.
I would still, with the amount of minutes so that Monk plays, I would still consider him an $18 to $20 million a year player.
Oh, I agree, he's up there, but I'm just saying, having that crazy ego to think that you deserve the type of money that like the top stars of the league are earning. Like, I feel like Tyler Hero, if you asked him right now, would say he's worth $30+ million a year. Whereas he's really not.
He got close to it. I think he was like $26 million a year he got.
Yeah, and we see how that's working out for Miami.
And they would have got rid of him in 2 seconds if they could have. Which I don't know how they didn't get Donovan Mitchell, but whatever.
I mean, we also saw what they're doing with fucking Duncan Robinson, paying him $20 million. So
there hasn't been a contract that was stolen since fucking Chandler Parsons.
Other than that one.
Yeah, like, I use the wrong wording. So the last guy to steal a contract like that was Chandler Parsons.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. That's better.
And Parsons barely played games because he was hurt all the time. Duncan Robinson's healthy, and he's just not playing games. He's healthy scratches. That's even worse to me.
I mean, you're telling me, even though Lowry played last night, but you're telling me that you would rather put a guy on the floor who is a little overweight, a little out of shape, and I'm not knocking fat guys.
Right.
I'm not, I like fat guys.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. So, but you'd rather put a guy who's a little out of shape, hasn't been playing well, had only been playing like 25 minutes a game, You'd rather put him in there on one leg? He's talking about knee surgery in the offseason, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
You'd rather put him in there than Victor Oladipo? I mean, granted, he played well, but you can't give Victor Oladipo more than 9 minutes?
I really don't understand at all.
I mean, isn't somewhere where you go, we are shooting like dog shit right now. Here's how to fix it. We're going to put Gabe Vincent right in there. And Max Strus. Victor Oladipo's just sitting there, fucking touching himself, not doing shit. Duncan Robinson's probably not even dressed because he's like, I ain't playing anyway, so I'm not even going to tie my shoes tonight.
I just don't get. I don't get Miami as a team, really. I just don't get.
God damn it, fucking Cody Zeller's getting right in there.
If I was Miami, I would honestly blow it up with everybody but like Bam Adebayo.
I mean, you really don't have any assets besides Bam and Jimmy. Tyler, maybe?
True.
But,
yeah, because no one's really going to want Lowry. No one wants Duncan Robinson on that contract.
Kyle Lowry's next deal will be a veteran's minimum.
Yeah, for sure.
He's going to be that guy in 2K that's just sitting around in the free agent pool. Like, hey, I could add him for $4 million.
Yeah, he'll be my third point guard on the team.
Right. Just because it's Kyle Lowry.
Exactly. Some fun things here. So, Bovada has some like playoff specials. If you want to get really crazy, they have a line here that is plus 100,000 in odds for the Hawks to win the NBA title and DeJounte Murray to win Finals MVP.
Dumber things have happened.
I agree. And hey, if anybody hits on that bet, I mean, that's a shit ton of money. That would be amazing. But
now, imagine when the Hawks, because I don't think they're getting... Listen to me. You know I'm usually right about this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Trae Young is not going anywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
They have Quinn Snyder. Trae Young doesn't even care about the rumblings and the rumors and stuff. That dude just went out to play last night. If you get a full offseason with Quinn Snyder and Quinn Snyder gets his coaching staff in there, Quinn Snyder gets bring some guys in that he wants to bring in, mm-hmm. Atlanta's going to be pretty nasty. And if you just build around Murray and Trae Young, mm-hmm. Those two guys, if they were with if they were with a Luka or a LeBron or whatever, they would be called a big three.
Oh yeah.
But because they're in Atlanta and Atlanta sucked this year, they're like, yeah, whatever. They just get Trae Young and DeJounte Murray.
I only would have said Trae Young is going somewhere if Nate McMillan was still the coach. If he was still the coach, I would say I could see them trading Trae Young. But the fact that it's Quinn Snyder, they've looked better with Quinn Snyder. They're making they've made a little bit of roster moves by bringing in Sadiq Bey, things like that. And then if you get an offseason where they possibly could get a group of assets that fit the team better for like John Collins or... I mean, it's been a long time coming where everyone's like, anytime now, Capella's going to be traded and then Okongwu's going to take over as the starter. If they end up trading Capella for like a package of players that could really fit around that team, then this team could really turn into something crazy.
Yeah, but Capella's not even a problem.
No, I agree. He's not. He's just one of the assets that another competitive team would love to have.
Well, yeah, the guy gets about 87 rebounds a game.
I know. He had almost more rebounds than the Miami Heat did as in total.
Mm-hmm. Clint Capella is a real deal.
The Miami Heat had 39 rebounds as a team. Clint Capella had 21 rebounds by himself. That's just insane. But let's move on to the next game because we've been on this game for a while here. So, Lakers versus...
Only 29 minutes.
Only. Lakers versus Timberwolves. So I watched this game today, actually, because I fell asleep, like, in the second quarter or whatever it may be. Went to overtime. Lakers were pretty bad the whole way through until the second half. Really until the fourth quarter. Minnesota was hitting really like every three in sight. Mike Conley hit 6 out of 8 threes. Towns hit a couple. Anderson hit a couple. Prince hit 4 out of 7. They hit 16 threes as a team. 39% from 3, which is solid. But I guess really the main thing is, I thought it was funny. I texted this to you. I thought it was funny that they interviewed Malik Beasley like a couple days before, and they said that the Timberwolves, he said that him, Vanderbilt, and D'Lo wanted revenge for the T-Wolves trading them away, and so on and so forth. And those 3 guys combined for 7 total points. Vanderbilt didn't even score. D'Lo had 2, and Beasley had 5. Now, Beasley wasn't bad in his 14 minutes. I mean, he was only a -1 in that time, but he only put up 3 shots. He had 5 points, 1 rebound, 1 turnover. I mean, like, he wasn't anything to write home about.
What does that mean, writing home?
It means like if you're away somewhere, you write like a postcard to home because you're having a great time. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. I've heard that expression, and I think I've used it probably, and I'm like, what does even that mean?
I mean, that's my assumption of what that means. I don't know the history behind that phrase, but...
You know what the stupidest one is, too, when people say 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other? I'm like, shut up.
Oh, I know.
Same difference. It's like, you could have just said same difference, idiot.
Without having to say
use 7 extra words to fucking say the same thing.
Exactly. No, I completely agree with that one. But yeah, LeBron and Anthony Davis obviously led the team. They both had pretty great games, especially Anthony Davis. I mean, with no Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis literally got anything he wanted on both ends of the floor. And then Austin Reeves had a really rough night, along with D'Lo. Those two shot a combined 5 of 22.
He got PTSD from, when Rudy punched Kyle Anderson. It put him into a state of trauma from his physical altercation with Mo Bamba earlier in the year.
Exactly. But yeah, so outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis, the big 2 that helped the most were Hachimura and Dennis Schroeder. Hachimura was more so not in the box score kind of help, like just a hustle play kind of help guy. Schroeder, I mean, put in 21 points off the bench, so that was big for them. And then when you come to Minnesota, Edwards had a god-awful game. Couldn't hit a single 3 out off of 9 attempts. Shot 3 for 17 overall, finished with 9 points. I mean, he still did have like a steal, 3 blocks, 5 assists, 8 rebounds. So, like, he did some other things in there. Nickeil Alexander-Walker actually had a very quality game off the bench with 11 points. But then, outside of Towns and Conley, really didn't get, like, crazy contributions from anyone to really win the game. I mean, Kyle Anderson had a good game outside of shooting. 13 assists, 4 steals, 4 blocks. He did a lot of things, but his shooting was not great. 5 for 14. Prince shot 5 of 11, 14 points, 3 steals. Again, solid, but nothing amazing. But when you don't have Gobert, when you don't have McDaniels, when you don't have Naz Reid, those are their 3 best defensive players on the whole team. So...
And yet the Lakers only won by 6 in overtime.
I know.
So instead of focusing on... Were you done, by the way? Because now
Yeah. No, I'm done.
So instead of focusing on just how crappy the Lakers are and how a team that has Anthony Davis and LeBron James, two of the top 5 players in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're not 100%, then okay. But you still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You have D'Angelo Russell. You have a couple pieces. Austin Reeves been playing well. You have Schroeder's been playing well. You have all of these little pieces, right? You're going up against the Timberwolves, who the team is in obvious, very frustrated, apparently, when you got one of your guys punching another guy. So you don't have Rudy Gobert. You got a guy out for the season because he punched the wall.
Yep.
You don't have Jordan McLaughlin. You don't have Naz Reid. And I think that's it. But what it comes down to is you don't have 4 guys, and the Lakers still only managed to beat them by 6 points, and it took them to overtime to do it. A team that can't afford to put any more minutes on anybody.
No.
Well, Schroeder looks like his leg was about to fall off. James he's running out of gas real quick for this season, so they can't be messing around like this. They need to win series fast, get these guys as much rest as possible if they're going to have any chance of going anywhere. That being said, they're not going anywhere. They're not a good team. They're horrendous. They suck. I don't care what anybody says about. They're just not a good team. Now, they play in the Western Conference, so that does give them a little bit of wiggle room.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not better than Golden State. They're not better than Sacramento. They're not. If they met any of those teams, it's lights out.
I will say, just because they're playing Memphis.
They have a shot, because Memphis is a train wreck.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, maybe people can say I'm a hater on the Memphis Grizzlies, but like for some reason, I just feel as though they could beat Memphis where, like you said, if they played Denver, Sacramento, Golden State, if they played any of those teams, I don't think they'd even have a shot. But with Memphis, I kind of could see them have a shot at beating them.
But you know, the media just loves to shit on the Lakers.
Oh, yeah.
They win one game, and now they want to create this big story about, are the Lakers legit? Are they coming? No, they're not. They suck.
Yep.
The same bullshit they were trying to pull with the Heat. Oh, the Heat, they're much better than a playing team. They should have been No, they're not. They're not a good team. They haven't been good all year. I don't care who was available and who wasn't. They suck. They're not good.
No, I agree. I can see them winning one series, but the people that have them actually like making the conference finals or even the finals are legitimately insane. I really don't understand that at all. And right now, according to Bovada, this is the funny thing, they are the closest underdog out of any of the first round matchups. They are at plus 110, so they're just barely underdogs. The next one is the Knicks at plus 180. So they're giving the Lakers a better shot at upsetting the Grizzlies than the Knicks at upsetting the Cleveland Cavaliers, even though that's a 4-5 matchup.
Remember, Bovada's sending us money. That's all I gotta say. Know what I mean? They're a great sports book, so they must be onto something.
Nah.
Bovada.
Betting against the house, never a great game.
No. But the Lakers suck. The Timberwolves suck. But let's relax with the Anthony Edwards thing, media, people. He had a bad game. Who cares? Anthony Edwards is going to be... I'm going to throw this out there and say that Anthony Edwards will be in the MVP conversation at some point next season.
Probably.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's going to be, if you don't consider him already, he's going to be a superstar in the league.
I think this year he hit superstar status toward the end of the year.
I would agree with that.
And his attitude makes him a superstar. the fact that that dude went up there and said that people pay a lot of money, and the fact that some families may only afford one game, so I'm not doing this load management bullshit. That's the kind of guy that they need in the NBA. They need a guy like that. They need a guy like Mikal Bridges. Those are the kind of guys that you need. Guys who just play and they acknowledge that people work hard to see them play.
Completely agreed.
No cap.
And yeah, it's crazy that people are really thinking that like Anthony Edwards sucks now after just that one game, because he provided so much. I mean, he was part of the reason the team even got to this point.
Yeah, with
Karl.
Cat missed fucking 78 games this season.
Exactly. He was out for like 3 months. Then Rudy Gobert was out, in and out of the lineup all the fucking time, questionable with every single ailment possible. Then he gets himself suspended, which like I still think that they should talk about that a little bit more than Anthony Edwards having a bad game, because Rudy Gobert is the dumbass that swung at his own teammate and got himself suspended. So,
and McDaniels, as much as like I understand you're frustrated, you stupid fuck, you literally knocked yourself out of the season by punching a wall.
Exactly.
At least use your left hand.
I know. Like, at least Naz Reid got hurt playing a game.
Right.
Not fucking punching a wall or punching his teammate. And then on top of that, Kyle Anderson, for as much shit as he talked, like, you gotta go off for 30 points after that.
I've never seen a guy with a bigger forehead than that.
As a part
forehead
of the
guy.
As part of the receding hairline club, I agree.
But he doesn't even really have like receding hairline though.
No, he just has a ginormous
forehead. Like, did something happen to him?
I have no clue. But it's true. It's definitely true.
Yeah, so to move on, because I don't want to talk about the Lakers anymore. The Lakers suck, the Timberwolves suck, and the Heat suck.
Agreed.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the games happening tonight. So right now as we speak, Raptors
the Bulls suck.
Agreed. Raptors versus Bulls is taking place right now. As of, I'm looking at the game cast right now, it says with 6 minutes, 19 seconds left in the second, the Raptors are up 39-34. So, I mean, I feel like I know who you're taking in this. I know who I'm taking in this, and I'm pretty sure it's the same team. I'm taking the Raptors.
Yeah, you know that. And I love the Bulls. You know I'm a Bulls guy.
Yeah.
I root for the Bulls. I love the Raptors, too. The Raptors are going to be so much better once Nick Nurse gets the hell out of there and goes to Houston.
Yep.
And because he's way past his welcome. Imagine if they ended up getting like Ime.
Oh God, that'd be bad for the rest of the Atlantic Division.
Yeah, because that team has all the talent in the world. And I don't want to hear anybody bullshit when they go, Scotty Barnes is not as good as he's. Scotty Barnes is he's doing fine.
I know.
If anybody on that team's a weak link, it's probably Anunoby, who can't stay healthy.
I was going to say him or Gary Trent took a step back this year. Gary Trent looked like he was going to be a huge part of this team after last season. And then this year, with his injury issues and just his inconsistencies, I don't know. He looked like he's dropping out of the rotation.
And whoever signed Otto Porter's on crack.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't think that this guy was going to be out with a foot injury?
And he was out with an injury for like 4 seasons. You didn't think that was going to happen?
It was his feet. I didn't too. I don't know what's wrong with this guy's feet. Is there a specialist or something that we could consult? I'm concerned that his feet. There's something wrong with his feet.
Can we please get a podiatrist in here?
I mean that's not normal. That some guy has that many foot issues.
No, I agree. But my thing is too, like, they really thought, looking at all those free agents, like, let me sign Otto Porter.
Yeah.
Out of all those free agents that you really could have signed there, It was like, yeah, let's go for the aging guy who has foot issues.
He was good in Orlando, so let's get him.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was the other thing is I just don't know what Masai Ujiri was thinking building like the supporting cast of this roster. The starting five I think is perfectly fine. But when he started trying to build some of these other players around there, like Chris Boucher's ship has sailed. Boucher will have one good game every 15 to 20 games.
The fucking water boy.
Exactly.
Bobby Boucher.
At least Precious is great on the boards. You can give Precious some minutes here and there. He'll be okay. It took them long enough to finally get rid of, what's his name that they traded for Jakob Poeltl. I mean, he wasn't doing a single thing on that team. He was like the fourth big man in the rotation, and he wasn't. I can't even think of his name. That's how irrelevant he is. Birch. Kem Birch.
Kem. Yeah. Thank you.
He's not doing shit. Malachi Flynn, where's he been? He hasn't been doing shit either.
Where's your man's Delano Banton been?
That's also a good question. Like, Banton gets 30 minutes one game and gets healthy scratch the next game. That didn't make any sense. Fred VanVleet this year, not saying that they shouldn't keep him, but Fred VanVleet this year had the lowest field goal, or third lowest field goal percentage in NBA history on, I think it was like at least 300 field goal attempts. So, like, you're telling me you couldn't play anybody else?
I think it's just a team thing. I think if his team gets better, he'll get better.
No, I agree. Fred will be fine. But I'm just saying, like...
Fred.
There's some things going on with, like, Nick Nurse's rotations, but also some of the bench spots that are just like, what exactly is going on here?
Here's what the Raptors need. They should see what DeMar DeRozan's up to after the game and figure out how to get him next season. Bring him back to Toronto, clear out some stupid money, and try to get DeRozan on your team. Let him end his career in Toronto. He's got maybe a year or two of good play left. And if it doesn't work with DeRozan, then it's time to pull the pin.
I would much rather have DeRozan in there than OG Anunoby.
Oh, yeah. You're telling me right now, like, if you offer OG Anunoby, because some teams are still full that they think he's good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's good, but he just doesn't play.
Right. And I used to be a huge OG Anunoby guy. Like 2 seasons ago, I was saying OG's the next big thing. So the fact that I'm completely off the bandwagon is bad in his case.
And I probably said the same thing to you back then that I'll say to you now. You're on fucking crack if you think that. I mean, the guy's made of like tissue paper.
I know. It's terrible. And it's always a calf issue. It's literally, like, with Otto Porter and his feet, it's OG and his calves. Like, what's going on with your calves? How do your calves always hurt like that?
Maybe he got his calves bitten by crocodiles growing up before he came to the United States.
He might have. I don't know. Who knows?
That was a horrible job. I'm just running out of material.
I mean, there's not much else you can say. I will say right now, though, Siakam having a big game. 8 for 11 right now. 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists.
Weird. They should have traded him.
I know. Everyone was calling for it. And OG 2 for 7 from the field with 4 rebounds, 2 assists. But anyway, we will move away from that as well, and we will head over to, I want to talk about the Spencer Dinwiddie, Kyle Kuzma thing that's going on. This has honestly been pretty funny. Actually, I will say before we get there, we didn't even talk about the other play-in game that's happening tonight, did we? No, we didn't. Thunder versus Pelicans. Who you got?
The Pelicans are going to win. Okay. Let's move.
I think the Thunder are gonna win, to be honest, just because I like seeing the Thunder play.
The Thunder can pull it off, but I think the way Ingram's playing right now and things that I think Pelicans are gonna win.
All right, and according to Bovada, the Pelicans are 6-point favorites. So Bovada agrees with you. But anyway,
who do you think sets the lines?
Oh, you're the one doing all the lines.
Mm-hmm.
I see. So let's get into this Spencer Dinwiddie, Kyle Kuzma beef. Let me share the screen here on this one because it has the quote right
God.
here. So
I didn't even see any of this, FYI.
Okay, so on TV, these quotes are from a TV interview for Spencer Dinwiddie, by the way. They asked him about the Kyle Kuzma stuff. They really didn't say what, but they just asked him about it. So he said, I'm in the playoffs, he's not. A lot of guys really pour their heart and soul into basketball. If you look at him and the way he approaches life/fame, we can see that his priorities tend to vary. That's why he dresses the way he does. Like Draymond said, insecurity is loud. You're probably not even the third star on a good team. If you were, the Lakers would have kept you. In DC, you got 3 max dudes, Porzingis, Brad, and Kuz. Like, how do you miss the playoffs? Now, before we go about responding and unpacking that, Kuzma responded to this on Twitter.
What did he say? Can you make it big?
Yep. Is that better?
Okay.
So, Kyle Kuzma said, all right, so since I'm famous, let me give you all some clout. I'm usually unbothered about things on the internet, but I will not allow this delusional guy to continue to talk about my teammates and I. And he made a whole thread. So he went, 1, insecurity is loud. The Wizards and I have so much real estate on Din Shitty Island. This guy got signed by a team 60 M's and was traded before the following season was over. 2, what in the world have you won in this league? LOL, you've been bounced around like a basketball, my boy. 3, you can thank KD and Kyrie for spearheading 34 wins before the All-Star break because you're 11-13 after the break for your playoffs. 4, second option, more like second point guard. LOL, my man, I watched you for 2 months at the end of your Wizards tenure, being the second option, averaging 8, 4, and 4. Sounds good, but glad you're hooping now. 5, and yup, I got a bag coming. Stop hating. LOL. And last but not least, 6. The only way you'll ever be worth your contract is if the NBA finally gives you your wish of getting paid in crypto. Checks the markets going down. Enjoy the clicks. Go Sixers.
I don't even know how I don't even know what to say.
I mean, first off, so I was talking.
Are we both in the same boat, though? First of all, that Kuzma's a douchebag.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, all right. I want to make sure we're on the same page with that one.
Yes, but I will say there are a couple points in there that I agree with.
Like
Kuzma.
What? Like what?
Like Dinwiddie hasn't won anything.
Okay, neither has Kuzma.
Well, he has a ring.
I mean, he hasn't won anything.
True.
What the fuck has he done to win a ring? Nothing.
I mean, yeah, he wasn't a huge part of it or anything.
He's not getting zero credit for that ring. I'm sorry, not happening.
I will give him a couple brownie points because Din Shitty Island was pretty funny. And
no, it wasn't really.
But again, I still like Dinwiddie over Kyle Kuzma, especially with the price tag that you're going to pay to even have Kyle Kuzma on the team because he's looking for more money. And then...
But he's on the perfect team for it because the Wizards are stupid enough to pay him.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And when in this one, when he talked about how he's been bounced around the league, as if Kuzma hasn't been bouncing around the league the last few seasons. Like, what it making that statement doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
But it's delusional.
you're also bouncing around teams.
But people bounced him around the league because they didn't want him because he's not good.
Right.
He's good on the Wizards, but what kind of impact did he have on the Wizards? What the hell are the Wizards doing right now?
Exactly. And like
Everyone,
when Dinwiddie pointed out that Washington has 3 max players with Porzingis, Beal, and Kuzma, even though I never thought I would say this, Porzingis was the most consistent one out of those 3. And he even played the most out of those 3 when Porzingis was like the pinnacle of street clothes the like 4 seasons prior to that.
let me tell you something about Kristaps Porzingis. Had that guy not getting hurt consistently, had he not had knee problems, Porzingis would be a top 5 player in the league.
True.
If not to, I have that much faith in how good Kristaps Porzingis, and he's still good, but everybody's just worried about him getting hurt. But
Yep.
Porzingis, I would rather pay Porzingis 10 times than pay Kuzma anything, because Kuzma is a doof. He dresses like, when you look at a guy walk into the arena with a pink sweater with the sleeves long, that tells you all you need to know. I would have cut him right there so fast, it's not even funny. Now, if you're Russell Westbrook, if you want to take a picture in a dress, you can, because Russell Westbrook's a bad dude, for one. 2,
MVP.
he's an MVP. He's way more talented, and don't give me that garbage. I never want to hear you say that again, that Kuzma has a ring. He don't have a fucking ring. How do you look at what he's doing now? He's arguably responsible for the success of the Wizards because, let's be honest, Bradley Beal ain't doing shit. He's stealing money.
Hurt.
They should try. You want to talk about trying Trump criminally? They should try Beal because that dude's been ripping them off and stealing from them for years.
Seriously.
And yet, nobody in that front office wants to acknowledge that guy has been taking anything. They don't want to say. They want to say Bradley Beal's he's a. And I know we're talking about Kuzma, but it all lumps it together. It's the same fucking guy, if you ask me. Nobody has said shit about Bradley Beal. And the fact that you bring Kuzma in and you're even considering giving that dude a max and keeping him, wake up, Wizards. If I was a Wizards fan, I would pick a new team immediately. I am urging every Wizards fan on the planet, pick a new team. That team, you're not going. They might have a worse ownership group than the Knicks.
I would definitely agree with that.
And please, Porzingis, go somewhere. Win a ring. You're way too good for that team. Let Bradley Beal be a schmuck and a bum and take all the money. And Denny Avdia, my man, get out of there. Corey Kispert, get out of there. All of you guys, get out of there. Shit.
I mean, what? The last 2 times the Wizards were actually relevant were when Gilbert Arenas was there, and then he ruined that. And then the last time they were relevant before that was when Michael Jordan came out of retirement.
Oh, my God. I think I hate the Wizards more than I hate any team now. They are so bad. And the fact that idiot has the right to go on Twitter, and I know he was responding.
Yeah.
But you don't have a leg to stand on.
No.
Spencer Dinwiddie, you're saying Spencer Dinwiddie's not the second option in Brooklyn? You're a crack.
I know.
Spencer Dinwiddie at least took single-handedly made Brooklyn relevant when D'Angelo Russell went down.
That's true.
He
He has a track record of it.
I love Spencer Dinwiddie. The fact that he went to Washington made me sick to my stomach, especially when I wanted to keep him all along over Moron, who's in Dallas, and who, by the way, didn't go to his exit interview because now he can't stay out of the spotlight, so now he has to skip his exit interview and turn this offseason into a circus. And I'm getting fired up right now because I'm tired of it.
Oh, yeah.
And you want to talk about Spencer Dinwiddie, the Mavericks? You want to take Kyrie Irving over it? Thank God Spencer Dinwiddie's back in Brooklyn. I would rather lose with Spencer Dinwiddie. And by the way, yeah, they're 11-13, but you're a brand new team. That whole team is brand new.
Exactly.
There's nobody there.
Mikal Bridges has been amazing.
The Brooklyn Nets, if they make some tweaks and stuff, they're going to be just fine. And you know what? If they lose, that's completely fine. I actually like being a Nets fan again because at least there's guys in Brooklyn who want to play.
Yep. I feel that. And
Kyle Kuzma,
Dallas,
you suck.
Dallas had a better record and better season when Dinwiddie was there compared to now when Kyrie is there.
They were much better when Spencer Dinwiddie was there.
And then they were also better with Brunson there instead of Kyrie. And now Kyrie's there and they're not even in the playoffs. Now they're being investigated for missing the playoffs.
Kyrie's the killer of teams.
Agreed. 1,000% agreed.
And you want to know something? I've been watching KD play in Phoenix. He looks like a skinny old man.
True.
He's bald and he's skinny and he looks fragile. You know like these old guys, they fall, they trip on the sidewalk and they break a hip and then rehab for 9 months?
Yep.
Kevin Durant was dunking during warm-up, slipped, and he was out for weeks.
I know.
How does that happen?
That's like an ultimate old guy event.
I mean, how does that happen? They were talking that he wasn't going to even be ready for the first round of the postseason. You're okay? You gave up Mikal Bridges for that?
I know, seriously. And Cam Johnson.
And Cam Johnson. Well, that motherfucker had knee surgery and he still came back.
I know, and he's still playing well, too.
Still playing well.
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma, he's going to use that ring of his to the fullest extent because that's literally the only thing he can claim because anything else he says is super irrelevant. I don't even care if somebody gives him a bunch of money the next season or whenever his contract is up because it's not what he's worth. It just isn't. Nobody is showing up to a game to say, I want to go see Kyle Kuzma.
I hope the Wizards give him a max contract as a punishment to both of them. Because you want to know something? If the Wizards give him a max, no team's going to be stupid enough to want him. Unless you're desperately rebuilding and you're like, okay, I'll do you a favor. I'll take on this garbage contract.
Mm-hmm.
And then, too, he's going to be stuck in Washington. And then we'll see who's laughing because you're stuck in Washington. And you can watch Bradley Beal pick his nose.
Exactly. Agreed.
So, I mean, it's just... the smugness on the comments was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that concerns me. I think he's got some form of mental illness. That's the only way to explain it.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's the thing is when you look at Dinwiddie's comment about the whole like talking about. If you look at him, the way he approaches his life and fame, we can see that his priorities tend to vary away from basketball. You can see that because he's over here worrying about every little thing that he dresses in. He's worrying about like modeling and photos and all that kind of stuff. Has his game truly gotten better? Maybe a little bit, but like better to the fact of like that he actually deserves all that money? No, not at all. So
he's
like,
a moron.
He really doesn't have anything to stand on. And when it comes down to it, we're still talking about the fact that Dinwiddie is in the playoffs right now. And they're at home. Like right now, even if they lose in the first round, whatever, they are still in the playoffs. They still got a 6 seed. Didn't even have to go through the play-in. And, like, according to Bovada, they're 8.5-point underdogs, whatever. It doesn't even matter.
What's the over-under that Kuzma's a douchebag? He's so much of a douchebag that he averaged 8.5 points and 2.8 rebounds and shot 31% from three in the finals in the bubble. He wants to talk about his ring. He wants to talk about. You want to crown him? Go ahead, crown him.
I know.
Because he is who I thought he is.
Jimmy Rizzo here says all one-sided. I don't know if that means you think we're all one-sided against Kyle Kuzma. We both don't like Kyle Kuzma as it was. Spencer Dinwiddie, look, he has not won anything.
I'm not in a mood to debate. What has Jimmy got that he says it's one-sided?
That's all he said so far. So
come on, Jimmy. He's saying Kyle Kuzma's better than Spencer Dinwiddie. He must be a Wizards fan.
But, like, while we might be talking a lot about Kyle Kuzma and shitting on his side of things, I will say, yes, Spencer Dinwiddie hasn't won anything either. He hasn't, I wouldn't give Spencer Dinwiddie a max contract or anything either. But I will say Spencer Dinwiddie, other than in D.C., sounds like he's been a decent teammate. In D.C., it sounded like he wasn't a great teammate because the people in D.C. suck. Like, Bradley Beal isn't playing. Kyle Kuzma isn't playing. There's a lot of guys over there that just aren't playing, and there's really no light at the end of the tunnel. So when you're on a team like that, it's probably pretty hard to play for. And I'm not trying to sit here and make excuses for Spencer Dinwiddie, but that's just being a fan of a team that has no light at the end of the tunnel is hard to do. Let alone playing for a team that doesn't have one.
I mean, when you go from the Brooklyn team that he was on to Washington and just hating your life, that's telling you something.
Yeah. I agree.
Thanks for watching, by the way, Jimmy.
Yeah, if you're still
sorry I yelled at
you. But anyway, so let's move on to some of the coaches no longer with their teams. Dwane Casey, Stephen Silas, both no longer head coaches for Detroit and Houston. Dwane Casey will be taking a front office job with Detroit.
AKA, we don't want you to go anywhere else, so we're just gonna pay you to hang out in the office all day.
Exactly. Stephen Silas, they cut ties with him. Other coaches rumored in there. I mean, you got Nick Nurse rumored to be fired at any point now. Yep, that's true. And I mean, the rest of the tanking teams are all tanking on purpose, so their coaches are kind of safe at the moment.
I don't think Steve Clifford is going to go anywhere. Steve Clifford's not going to go anywhere just for the simple reason because Charlotte doesn't want to spend any money this offseason, and so they're just going to keep him around so they keep getting shittier and shittier.
Yep. I mean, they're definitely going to have to tank for one more season, especially because they don't know what's going on with Miles Bridges still to this day. So there's no reason for them to go all in or anything, especially because LaMelo's 21 years old?
Yeah, and he played about 2 games this season.
Exactly. So if I were them, trade Terry Rozier, get whatever you can for him. Keep Dennis Smith Jr. because he obviously is the only one that actually stayed somewhat healthy.
He was still banged up, but he was productive.
Right. Exactly. If I was them, I would also trade Kelly Oubre while he still has value before he gets hurt again. He always is out for one big chunk of the season.
Can we dive into this coaching thing? Remember, and I know we're going to get a little, but I did some research because it kind of bothered me a little bit, to be honest with you.
Okay.
You remember when we were talking about I was telling you about my argument with the guy and the thing?
Yeah.
You want to touch on that?
Yeah, sure. Let the people know what you're talking about just because they don't know about it.
There are some who are under the belief that Stephen Silas was let go simply because of his race. I found that to be very insulting. And it's not even insulting. I'm insulted for the other black coaches in the National Basketball Association who have done a fantastic job and have done great things with teams that have just as good or bad, depending upon how you look at it, but they've done some similar things with a comparable roster who've ended up keeping their jobs and turning things around. I think it's very insulting to even insinuate that the only reason a guy was let go was because of the color of his skin.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very insulting to the great coaches to suggest, by suggesting that somebody was let go because of the color of their skin, is insulting to the coaches who got hired. So that's the same breath of you saying. So are you saying now that these guys have gotten jobs because of their skin color? Is that what we're going here? The fact of the matter is, Stephen Silas was never really brought in to be a long-term solution.
No.
He was a young coach, but if he would have flourished, good for him, but nobody ever really expected him to do it. All right, with that said, all right, Silas went 59 and 177 through 3 seasons as the Rockets head coach, okay? Throughout that time, his first season in 72 games, he went 17 and 55. 82 games the following season, which was 21-22, he went 20 and 62. This last season, he went 22 and 60. You're telling me that a team comprised of Kenyon Martin, Tari Eason, Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, etc., Alperen Sengun, that team is a 22-win team? I have a hard time accepting that anybody who thinks that this guy got fired because of his skin color and not because he had a 22 and 60 record this season with a team made up of very good, talented players is very insulting, and it's very off base. There have been plenty of coaches. Look at OKC, by the way. I'm going to use him for an example. Would you say that OKC's roster's maybe a step above Houston's?
If they had Chet Holmgren, I would say they would have been.
I'm talking this season, though.
Yeah.
Without Chet.
Without Chet, no.
All right, so at least OKC, Mark, and I can't pronounce his last name. Can you pronounce his last name?
Oh.
It's Dagnio. Okay.
Denard
Anyways,
or whatever.
Yeah. I can't pronounce these European guys' last name. So he finished, the Thunder finished this season 40 and 42. The Thunder were supposed to be the laughing stock of the NBA. He's a white guy. I get it. All right. Mm-hmm. However, there was still progress there. He took a team that was expected to tank, and now he's taken them to a playing game. All right. Let's look at the coaches, too, over the years. There have been plenty of white coaches that have been replaced by black coaches. The league right now, every head coach this season, whether they started the season or whether they're still there, there's been 33 head coaches this season. 17 are black, African Americans. And some of the best coaches in the league right now are Mike Brown, J.B. Bickerstaff, guys who have turned franchises around.
True.
Mike Brown inherited a team from Luke Walton. Luke Walton had a pretty talented roster, and he couldn't do a damn thing with that. He was let go after like 2 seasons in favor of Mike Brown, who's done wonderful things with Cleveland. He's done wonderful things in Sacramento. Nobody said anything about Luke Walton getting fired, except for beyond the fact that he sucks. It has nothing to do with anything other than us that he sucks. Why can't we just say Stephen Silas is not a good coach?
Yeah.
The second longest tenured coach in the National Basketball Association. You know who it is?
Like second longest tenured for one team, or just
besides Popovich, who's been with the same team the longest?
I don't know.
Spoelstra.
Oh, all right.
A Filipino American has been with the same franchise for 15 seasons and has done very well.
Job.
He's done a great job. If you look back historically, Steve Nash, when he got fired, who took his place? Jacques Vaughn, black guy.
Yep.
Dwane Casey took over for Stan Van Gundy, white guy. Frank Vogel, who won the championship with the Lakers, who took the Lakers to a ring, he got fired by a black guy. First year head coach. Willie Green replaced Stan Van Gundy, and rightfully so.
Yep.
Doc Rivers replaced Brett Brown, black guy. J.B. Bickerstaff took over for a white guy. Since the days in Cleveland of Lenny Wilkins and Mike Fratello in Cleveland, 9 out of the 13 coaches in Cleveland have been African American. All right, so you're telling me that nobody got opportunities there? You're telling me that they were taking the best person available. Again, if you look at Chauncey Billups took over for Terry Stotts. Jamal Mosley took over for Steve Clifford. Monty Williams took over for Igor Koskov, whatever his last name is. Again, European.
And Monty won.
And Monty's been killing it.
Yeah.
Did anybody even suggest that the reason why Monty got you're insulting somebody if you're saying that the only reason why he got that job, by you implying that Silas got fired because of the color of his skin, it is very insulting to these great coaches. And I love these coaches. I love Mike Brown. Mike Brown's just a guy I just want to hug. Every time you see him, he's smiling.
And I just want to say to the people who might be a little lost about what we're talking about here. A guy that Dennis was debating with said that Stephen Silas said that black coaches should stop taking tanking jobs because that's really all they're used for because of the skin of their color or color of their skin, and like that's why they're being hired is because it's a tanking team and they're not actually like a real coach
and they're not getting ample opportunities.
Opportunities, yes.
Say Stephen Silas was white, he would get 2 more years in Houston. And my argument was, probably not, because there have been plenty of other white coaches who've been fired after a year. Ryan Saunders, look at him in Minnesota. He went 43-94 in 137 games. Same kind of record. Luke Walton got ousted by Brett Brown. Nate Bjorken got fired after 1 season in Indiana. Jim Boylan took 2 seasons in Chicago. John Beilein gone 1 season. And now we have Detroit. And this is coming from like Detroit news sources who say that the coaching search is narrowed down to Ime, Jerry Stackhouse, Chauncey Billups, Adrian Griffin, and Charles Lee. They're all 5 black guys. And I have 0 fucking problem with that. You know why? Because they're all great coaches and they're all good dudes. Jerry Stackhouse did a bunch of good things for the Toronto Raptors, G League affiliate. Chauncey Billups has been waiting to be a coach forever. Ime Udoka may have fucked up in his personal life, but this dude was a good coach. So for people to sit there and discredit and say that somebody was either fired, and on the same token, these idiots who say, well, this person only got the job because of affirmative action, and this person, blah, blah. Fuck you, because there are a lot of guys. Just because somebody's been a coach for a long time, there are plenty of shitty coaches that have been let go. And I don't want to hear the Mark Jackson thing, because Mark Jackson was not a good coach. to the level of Steve Kerr was. Steve Kerr took that team and made them a dynasty.
Exactly.
So,
and you can even look at like Boston. After Ime Udoka, they brought up Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla has been a great head coach for them.
And he's mixed, I believe.
Yeah. Atlanta replaced Budenholzer with Lloyd Pierce. Lloyd Pierce didn't end up being a great coach, but who'd they replace Lloyd Pierce with? Nate McMillan. Nate McMillan brought the Hawks on that crazy playoff run that nobody expected. Obviously, now it's Quinn Snyder because it really just became Trae Young versus Nate McMillan.
They were scared not to hire him because they didn't want to get him to kill anybody.
Exactly.
And then in New Orleans, real quick. New Orleans, since the Charlotte days, since they were the expansion team in Charlotte, 5 out of the 8 coaches have been black. Since they went to New Orleans, 3 out of the 4 have been black. And look at what
Alvin Gentry for a while.
They had Alvin Gentry, and there are a lot of coaches outside of Woodson. Everybody's like, "Why doesn't Woodson have a job?" Blah blah blah. Okay, there are a bunch of coaches out there who should be in a head coaching spot right now over just anybody, regardless of the color of their skin.
Yep.
Fizdale
for sure.
That dude was pretty solid when he was in Memphis, and now he doesn't have a head coaching job.
I think Sam Cassell should have a job.
Sam Cassell, all these guys. Lionel Hollins.
True.
There are so many talented guys out there who should have jobs, but they don't. But it's not based on. We know there's a lot of nepotism. We know Steve Nash got the job, but Steve Nash was also a multi-time MVP.
Right.
All right. So
and apparently, the rumor was the players were the ones that wanted him.
Right.
So, like, as a front office, what are you supposed to say? Like, no, shut up, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. We're going to go hire somebody else.
So I'm not as eloquent as my host. But my whole point in all this is that I was actually really troubled, and it's not. Did some of that stuff go on? Of course it did. Is some of that stuff still go on to this day? Of course it is. There's a lot of morons running around in this world who just aren't willing to look past the differences in people. Like, I get it. Everybody, you can make stereotypical comments and stuff. White guys have small penises, things like that. Like, it's funny. Right? I get it. At the end of the day, though, especially if you're an African American male, to suggest that a guy lost his job because of the color of his skin is doing a disservice to him, because you're not incentivizing him to get better. You're creating excuses, and I would venture to guess that there are a lot of African Americans in this country who do not want to be made a victim. They don't want to be victimized. They don't want to be used for political agendas. They don't want any of that shit. They just want to do their best, just like all of these great coaches in the NBA have. And to me, it's a no-brainer. Mike Brown should be coach of the year in the Western Conference because the guy's fantastic. And Joe Mazzulla should be the coach of the year in the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
Two guys who are colored. All right, so let's not discredit these guys by saying stupid comments. Let's not discredit the accomplishments of the guys who actually have done a good job with shitty teams with that type of stuff, because it's very insulting.
I agree. I completely agree. And at the end of the day, we all just want to have the same playing field, the same opportunities, and the same chances to, get the job that we all dream and want. Like that's like a big part of this whole sweeping thing. We all want an equal playing field and to be able to all be afforded the same things. And when it comes down to it in the NBA, I think that that's one of the places that actually happens. It is.
To a large degree.
Right. Like, of all the major sports, I think the NBA is where that happens the most.
Now, there's a lot of stupid shit that the NBA has done over the years, but the one thing the NBA has done right is they've created a welcoming environment for everybody. All right, I'm not suggesting that I know about any of the troubles that women face. I don't know any of the troubles that black men face, Jewish men. I don't know any of that stuff. Doesn't mean I can't understand it. Doesn't mean I can't look at it objectively. You know, just it's unfortunate that we're at, and I know this is like a very I don't know how to explain it. It's a very touchy subject, but I mean, it really just, and it doesn't bother me, but it's just something that I think needs to be brought up because I just think it's an important issue.
Yeah.
And this is in defense of the guys who are busting their ass, regardless. They don't care what color they are. They're busting their ass and they're doing a great job.
Exactly. I think we should give flowers to everybody that deserves it before they die. That's the biggest thing to me is give these guys flowers that work their ass off, get to this spot in their careers, and actually show that they're a damn good coach. And if you're not a good coach, you're not a good coach. A lot of people haven't been.
And there are plenty of white coaches who haven't. And Steven Silas is a much better coach than some of the guys I mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Mamma mia, some of those guys are bad.
I mean, I can tell you there's plenty of coaches that have come through the Sixers that I wanted off the team immediately that were white. Like it doesn't matter who. I didn't like Jim O'Brien. I didn't like excuse me. I didn't like Tony DeLeo. Doug Collins wore out his welcome. Like, there's a lot of people on any side that if you're just a bad coach, you're a bad coach. That's all it comes down to. That's really all it is.
I mean, you're not going to incentivize. Silas is 47 years old. All right. He's going to get another shot more than likely at some point.
Right.
But he doesn't want... I highly doubt he wants to be made like a martyr for this type of cause.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're a guy who's that successful, you don't make excuses. You just do things. Yes, his dad had a big influence in the NBA, but you don't get, if you suck, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're not going to get to that level. Right. So the guy's going to be a head coach again, and it might be in 5 years from now. But if he goes somewhere, learns a little bit more, maybe inherits a better, because let's be honest too, a lot of it is what type of situation you inherit. So, and he knew that going in.
Yep. Agreed. Completely agree. So before we get to remember this guy, I want to just say, like we talked about, we were going to say the first round matchups because now that they're decided with the 2 and the 7 seeds on each side, we're not going to get into huge predictions with them, but I just want to know who you have winning and who is the more likely team to get an upset. According to Bovada right now, the one more likely should be the Lakers at plus 110. The Hawks are plus 650 to win their series against the Celtics. So according to the odds makers, the one more likely is the Lakers. But what do you think?
Out of the 7 seed?
Yeah. Now that they're set.
I don't know, man. The Hawks are looking pretty good.
True. They are. I mean, and we watched them get as hot as can be when they made that Eastern Conference Finals run a couple seasons ago. Now they have a arguably better offense than they did in that season. So,
you know, if they could have just nailed a couple more shots, they would have been fine.
True. I mean, I'm gonna say the Lakers because I just don't trust the Grizzlies. I trust the Celtics to take care of business. I don't trust the Grizzlies at all.
I mean, I totally get it. I mean, I get it. When you put it in that context, then yes, But I also think, like, if anybody, like, say the Hawks and the Lakers, miraculously made it to the finals,
Right.
I'm taking the Hawks 4-1.
Oh, I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. So, with that being said, we're up to remember this guy.
And I didn't mean to bring the mood down with my.
Oh, no. It needed to be said. I agree.
Okay.
I feel you. I wish that guy would come on so we could talk to him about it.
He won't. He's chicken shit.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, we're not here to, like, have a hostile conversation about it.
No, I just want to have a conversation.
Like an in-depth conversation about everything. And that I wish he would have come on and talked about it to actually explain more of his standpoint.
Maybe he told me I need to learn, so maybe I would have learned something.
Maybe.
But he some people just,
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want another big sexy.
Exactly. But all right, who you got for me this week?
All right. He was picked right out of high school.
Oh, okay.
He was selected by the Trailblazers.
Okay.
He's also played for the Celtics, the Timberwolves, the Clippers, the Cavs, back to the Wolves, the Suns, and the Raptors. His last stint was in 2014. He had a cup of coffee in OKC.
Cup of coffee in OKC. All right, and he came out of high school, you said.
He is a point guard.
And he is a point guard. Oh, a point guard. Okay, that was different from... I was thinking big man, but okay. Came out of high school, he was a point guard. And he said he was drafted by Portland.
Yes.
And
don't get your head...
Dava says hi, and she says she loves watching this game.
What game is she watching?
Remember this guy.
Oh, hi, baby. You can play along at home.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
And I want to see your hands because I don't want you typing anything.
Oh, I'm
Get your fucking
not typing
hands
a
up.
thing. If I had to type, my hands are going to be up here anyway.
I don't know that.
Well, I'm just letting you know. All right, so came out of high school, drafted to Portland. His last stint was 2014, where he barely spent any time with OKC. And you said he spent time with Portland, Minnesota, the Clippers?
Yes.
Did you say Clippers? Okay.
Clippers, Cavs, Wolves again, Suns, Raptors, OKC.
Is it Mo Williams?
You are incorrect.
Oh, damn it. Did Mo Williams even come out of high school? I don't even remember, to be honest. Muhammad is here. What's going on, Muhammad?
Hey,
nice to
holy
see
shit,
you.
thank you. Muhammad.
It's been a while, Muhammad. Nice to see you.
Oh my God, I'm so worried about you. Where have you been?
I know. We're worried something happened, man.
Are you okay?
Hopefully everything's good with you. All right, so no to Mo Williams.
Muhammad playing along at home?
He might be. Give me one more hint.
He's from Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn. Oh. No, I think he played with the Celtics. I'm going to guess anyway. Sebastian Telfair?
You fucking got it.
Yes! Yes!
He did play with the Celtics. I said the Celtics.
Oh, I guess I just forgot you said Celtics because I was like, wait, I don't remember hearing Celtics. Sweet.
Next week I will get you.
The only reason I thought of him when you said Brooklyn was because I started thinking, instead of just thinking like, oh, he went straight from high school to the NBA, I was like, oh, it could be a street ball guy. Because I'm pretty sure Sebastian Telfair played a little on the And One mixtape tour, and he had I thought he had a nickname. I'm pretty sure he was Wasn't he Skip to My Lou? I think that was his. Oh, no, that's Ray for Alston. Nope, that's wrong. I was even thinking of the wrong guy, so.
Well, you got it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, it looks like he's in prison now.
He is?
Yeah. Let's see. There's a news story from October 2022 that he's now in prison for illegal gun possession.
Where?
Oh, wait. Illegal gun possession and a healthcare fraud scheme. Prosecutors have charged 24 people in billing scandal. Former players Keon Dooling, Alan Anderson also pleaded guilty.
Well, there goes my... You remember this guy for next week.
What was it, Keon Dooling?
No, I was only kidding.
Muhammad was in Chicago this whole time.
Hey, you didn't call us. We're about 15 hours away from there.
Exactly. We could have met up.
Probably not, but, it would sound good.
We could have attempted.
So where was he arrested?
It doesn't say, because the article I found is in Bloomberg, and it's behind a paywall.
Oh. I tried looking up. I thought maybe it would be New York State.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But then it's funny because I get like different one. Like some of the ones I see are for the illegal gun possession, and then some of the articles that are behind paywalls are the ones for the healthcare fraud. So I don't know which one he's.
I mean, what kind of healthcare fraud is he doing?
It's some sort of healthcare, like insurance fraud. Oh, so, and he was one of 18 former NBA players charged in the scheme. This is some throwback names here. So, Antoine Wright, Charles Watson, Darius Miles, Ruben Patterson, Eddie Robinson, Gregory Smith, Glenn Big Baby Davis, Jamario Moon, Terrence Williams, Alan Anderson, Tony Allen, Shannon Brown, Will Bynum, Melvin Ely, Christopher Douglas Roberts, and Tony Roten.
Holy shit. What was going on?
I have no idea.
So
apparently Terrence Williams was the alleged leader of the plot, and he pleaded guilty last August. And Telfair is facing up to 20 years in prison. I don't know what happened with the actual trial, but
is that his real name? Sebastian?
Yeah, Sebastian Telfair.
This is very. We're gonna have to dive into this. Is it Telfair?
Yes. It was in the New York Times. Oh. This New York Times article is back in 2021, though. But the Bloomberg article I saw was in 2023.
I don't know if the folks at home could see this. Well, they can't. I mean, some of the folks at home, but if you're listening on Spotify, unfortunately, you can't see it, or YouTube, or however you're listening. I have no idea, but. This was his arsenal.
Oh, that's a lot of stuff. Okay, yeah. So he's got a few handguns, a Kevlar vest, an automatic. Yeah, that's...
Machine gun.
That's not great.
I mean, he's up to something.
Yeah, that's bad. We're going to have to unpack this next week.
Yeah, we got to dig into this a little bit more.
Seriously, we're going to talk about this for sure. But for this week, that's it for us. Thank you, everybody, for watching another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast, the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. The reason I asked if you don't have anything else on your chest is because we've already been close to 2 hours here, so I'm sure we've probably bored a lot of people at this point.
Especially when I got all like sentimental and politically correct.
Exactly. It wasn't our normal crude jokes and everything like that.
Well, there was some in there.
True. We had some in the beginning, too. So,
but there's probably going to be a lot of people who go, look at those fucking liberals.
Exactly. But thank you, everybody, for watching.
Sue me, whatever.
Exactly. We appreciate it. We'll catch you guys next week. Enjoy the play-in games and the first games of the first round of the playoffs, and we'll catch you guys probably next Monday. See you guys later. Peace.